Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I have a sweet and simple card using the Dandelion Wishes stamp set that's on page 118 of the annual catalog. A really simple card that you can look on Pinterest, see this card, figure it out, case it, adjust it, be inspired by it. But I wanted to show you a little glimpse into my little mathematical mind here. The hardest part about making this card is sometimes coming up with a measurement, so I did it for you. So I usually sketch out something when I'm making a card, kind of getting an idea of what I want to do. Usually the 1/8 inch is going to be my border around something. So what I did here is I put, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, and 1/8 inch in between my panels, and then it'll be on the top and the bottom. So then that just took my mind to 1/8 is 0.125, and then I multiplied it by 4 and I got a half. And then I said, for it to be a good size on here, what if I made it around 4 1/4? So then I just went back and I divided 3 3/4 by 3 and got 125. So that's kind of how I come up with something, but all of this information will be right on my blog for the post for the Dandelion Wishes card. And it would be very smart if I started filing these somewhere instead of just filing them in the garbage can when I'm done. But that's a good idea to have. Then each time you want to make a card using this technique, you'll have the measurements on hand. So the thing that was really cool about this card is we're going to be making this card, and I'm going to show you how we did it. But on this card, as you can see, I used that subtle embossing folder, and I just used that on another card on a video last week. It just gives that little something something that finishes off your card. This is a very plain card, but adding into that subtle, I just made this panel, ran each layer of the card through the subtle embossing folder. It changed the whole look of the card. So we're going to compare it at the end, but right now I'm going to show you the materials we're going to be using. So I used soft suede and very vanilla as my color palette, and I used a 8.5 by 5.5 sheet of the soft suede cardstock, and then I just scored it at 4 1/4, half of 8.5, and then that's going to make me a landscape card that opens from the bottom there, soft suede. So then the panel that's going to go in the front of it would just be 4 by 5 1/4, and that's just going to be right on the front of the card. So then I'm going to be bordering that panel, and it's 3 by 4 1/4, so 3 by 4 1/4. But now I'm going to show you. This sheet of paper is, well, this piece of paper is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and what I want to do is cut it into 3 equal parts, and like I said, I just divided 3 3/4 by 3, and I got 1 1/4. So what I'm going to do is I stamped the image on the stamp set that has the dandelion, that has the little pieces of the dandelion flying off into the air. So what I did is I stamped it on there. Then I came back, and I might add too that I came to the conclusion of this would be a good size because I stamped this, and then I saw how much of when I stamped it what my width should be, and then I kind of worked backwards from that. But you don't have to. If you have the Dandelion Wishes, I already have the measurements for you. So I'm going to cut this into 3 1 1/4 inch pieces. So I can actually take and go on the, make sure we're in the camera here, I can go over on the right side and cut at 1 1/4. You'll find a little line right before it gets dark on the plastic again on your trimmer, and that's 1 1/4. So that's my scoring blade, which is the light gray. The dark one is the cutting, so I'm going to cut that one at 1 1/4. And then I can just go ahead and put the left side here on the left side at 1 1/4. And now I just cut that down, and I've got 3 pieces that are 1 1/4. So 3 pieces that are 1 1/4, and then I'm going to put them onto my soft suede that's 3 by 4 1/4. So then I just put some adhesive there. A good way to know how far, like you're going to be wanting to have the same distance right in the middle of the card here. You're going to want to have the same distance in here. So the best way to do that is start on your left side. And when you have the left side and the top and the bottom that all have the equal border, then you're going to be assured that these two middle soft suedes that pop through are going to be. And so what I do is I take the last one and do the same thing. It's just a lot easier to do it that way, and then you'll have that inside. So now you look and you see that this side here and the top and the bottom all have the same amount of border. Now when we go to the middle piece, I got a couple little flyaways there. Need to, and then you can be sure now you have an equal amount in between all of your panels. So the next thing I did is I stamped Sending Well Wishes Your Way using soft suede ink, and then I cut it out with the Stitched Shapes circle from the Stitched Shapes framelit set. It's a 1 7/8 inch circle, and then I just adhered it directly onto that soft suede circle. And this soft suede circle is about 2 1/4. So you can punch that out with your 2 1/4 inch, or you can use your layering circles framelits. So the next thing I did on this card is I went ahead and stamped the 3 dandelions here, and I stamped them down in the lower left corner. So then that gave me some what we would call white space around here, but it's really very vanilla space, but I put that down there. Now we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna see how different it looks doing the subtle. Now if you were gonna make this card, you would run all the pieces through the subtle embossing folder. But this one, I just wanna show how different it looks. So what we're gonna do is put this very vanilla panel that we stamped in the lower left corner, just get a nice 1/8 inch. I have to do it this way, kids. It is so hard to do this without showing you my head, which today, whoop. Okay. Let's just pretend this is semi, right? Okay, so there we go. So we have that panel there, and we have this nice focal point down here. So then what I did is I put dimensionals that I have over here, and I popped up this panel because I wanted to give even a little more dimension to this card. So just, this would be a great time to use up all your strips of dimensionals, those pieces that are always around the edges. On this card, I just covered the whole back with those pieces. Never wasting. Okay, there we go. Our last one. And then what I did here is I just made sure it was right in the middle. And then I just put this directly on, and I'm going to actually put some adhesive here. It's going to kind of control, because I want to cover up this little corner here. And as soon as I saw that little piece of the corner covered, I adhered it. And on the inside of the card, I was going to put these little flyaway pieces, but I kind of liked carrying this image into the inside of the card. And so what I did is I just carried the well wishes that were sent on the front of the card into the inside of the card. So you can see that this is just plain. Nothing wrong with that. Quick card, send it. But if you really want to just give it a little bit more, you can run all the pieces of the card through the subtle embossing folder. It really adds a whole different look to the card, don't you think? Okay, so if you have any questions about this card, you can always email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com. You can leave me a note on my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com. You can call me or text me at 724-323-2296. All the measurements, all the materials, all the colors, everything I did for this card will be on the post for this one, and I'll show you the dimensions on how to get to these different sizes here. So really easy, and you can take this technique and make many different kinds of cards using different stamp sets, but it's a nice focal point to pop that off the front of the card. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.